to the 8th episode of Comic Convo. This week we'll be changing the format slightly, not concentrating on the news so much so we can have more time reviewing the books. This week I'll be focusing on two books that I've previously reviewed, being Wonder Woman and Uncanny X-Men. So we'll jump right into it and get to Uncanny X-Men number 11. This is still written by Kieran Gillen and art by Greg Land. This is, as you saw, an AVX, Avengers vs. X-Men tie-in. I am reading that series and it's going alright. It's building to something. This issue, if you're reading AVX, then it makes more sense, but if you're not, this is kind of pointless. This issue bridges the gap between some of the things that happen in the main book and between the characters involved in Uncanny X-Men. This is a panel that's just been recreated from the book, and it then goes on to show you thoughts of some of the characters that you see. So here we have Namor diving into the sea, but we get his viewpoint on it and what he thinks and why he's siding with Cyclops in this matter. And we also get a view of one of the battles briefly seen in AVX, which is Red Hulk versus Colossus, and we get Colossus's thoughts on him becoming the Juggernaut, his ideas of the battle and stuff and how it's going. It's more character based around the plot of AVX, so Kieran Gillen does a good job of fleshing out these guys a bit more, and he did a good job of that on Fear itself actually. He does very well to take an event and do his own stories within it, so he's confined by this, but it doesn't diminish his storytelling or his overall idea for the book, which is good, and he has a good grasp on these characters. So it's a shame that we see the same things again, so it's kind of we're buying two books and getting the same story twice, but that's okay because I feel that this actually does it better than AVX, so it's more of a compliment. So it's like if you read that, you get this and you get more of the story from it. Kieran Gillen does a good job of tying up some threads that he's seeded in some previous issues and making that relevant to the main AVX storyline, but in a way that makes it more compelling than superheroes punching superheroes for no reason. But he makes it politically relevant and relevant to the whole X-Men agenda of them being a different race. He's got a good grasp on that and making it seem more realistic than just, hey, we're mutants, we're different from you. He brings some real political issues to that. With the introduction of the PR person that he brought in, I think it was in like the first issue of this run, that's something, you know, that they do. They'd have some person to speak on their behalf in a positive way and to spin what happens. He's brought that character back into this issue. It ties it to the AVX storyline in a way that's smart, even though he's been confined by this event. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Wonder Woman number 8. This has the same creative team as it did before, Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. Cliff Chiang took a brief 2 or 3 issue hiatus, but he's back and his art is as good as ever. That is the main reason that I really enjoyed this issue. It's the same story that's carrying on since issue 1. We now have Wonder Woman going to see Hades in the underworld, and that's where we are now. The underworld's made up of dead bodies, so everything from the floors to buildings to anything that you see in the underworld is morphed from dead bodies. So here all the floors are made up of dead bodies. We're in a forest and it's all people who make up the trees. But the main thing about this art for me was when some of the statues made up of these dead bodies starts taking it off and becoming this muscle-clad monster. Here we see it start to crack open, and yeah, it's something like from Body Worlds starting to attack them. And it looks really good because they've created this horrific looking monster. It's very legit because you see all the muscles, you see all the tendons, like it's realistic. That makes it, I guess, all the more terrifying because it's not a monster, it's just a person that's not got skin on, and that's more creepy, that's a bit more terrifying. Since the DC New 52 reboot, Wonder Woman has been touted as a horror comic, and up until now I haven't really seen that. But with this book, with the tones, the colours and the story, it's coming together and it does seem to be a bit more horror orientated. And it's interesting because it's more in line with two of the best books that I'm reading from DC, which is Batman and Animal Man. They both have horror elements to their storytelling. Maybe my taste is changing and enjoying these kind of stories more, but I don't care. It's great. I'm loving this series and I hope it stays just as good as it is, and I'll keep buying it. So that's all for this week. Thanks for joining me and I'll see you soon.